What do you feel about another attack, another painful thing? I imagine super painful is Balenciaga pulling. Uh, you had a really close relationship and friendship with their creative director. Like, how do you feel about all of it?
I told you I sang the song. I'll sing another song from one of my mentors, Future. I never feel pain. I done felt too much pain. Like, there was a day where I was headed to Nashville to meet with George Farmer, who is the CEO of Parla, the day when we made the announcement. At that same day, Balenciaga was taking my imagery off of their site, and the Drink Champs was being taken down. And I said, this is the happiest day of my life. I love cutting the grass low. People wasn't really with you. They was part-time. People switch up when it's wartime. I'd rather have people who are really with me and not people who are just trying to use me.
Listen, as a friend, as somebody cares for you, you have to be really careful by the people, by all people, always. The people that are going to be try to be close to you now, you don't know if you can trust them any
Even
more than.
more. With the Balenciaga, I have more to say about it, though.
Yeah, please.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Demna will still work for Ye someday. And this is just speeding the process up.
Have you talked? Can you share if you've talked?
Yes, I talked to Demna. This is like we're kindred spirits. None of this can keep us away from each other. I brought Demna to Gap to be able to bring the best product in the world. At that time, I wanted to go under $100. Now I'm like, okay, we're gonna go $20 a product. Uh, I brought Demna in to engineer. That's why I said engineered by Balenciaga, Yeezy Gap engineered by Balenciaga, to engineer the best product for the people that that they say are at the bottom of the Maslow hierarchy of need chart. Or they're at the bottom of the pyramid,
Mm-hmm.
right? So Gap didn't want that. Balenciaga didn't want that. Our agendas were not aligned. I was brought in to the Gap for political reasons and influence, like a Virgil, like a George Floyd. When popular celebrities are brought into Fortune 500 companies, it's not to raise the stock, it's to strengthen the position and influence. And it's definitely not to be out here letting a nigga think he's Steve Jobs.
Yeah, there's people like that. But you, as a great man, a visionary, your job is to understand that game and be one step ahead.
Well, that's why I'm telling them that relationship, some relationships only last for a summer.
Yeah.
Some last for a year. The relationship ran its course. You know, in that relationship, I invested a lot of my social capital and actual capital. I spent somewhere between $5 to $10 million personally on Balenciaga. How much money do you think Balenciaga had paid me in the past 2 years? Just
Um,
take a really wild guess. A really wild one.
Less than that,
Just take a super wild one. Just go to the furthest extent of your imagination.
1.2 million,
Lower,
500,000,
lower,
zero.
zero.
All right.
And actually, 2 weeks ago, I paid out of Saint's account $862,000, not in clothes for me from Balenciaga from the store, in royalties to Balenciaga, where the deal had been engineered where I was coming out of my pocket. So last year I paid Demna $3 million to design the collection, right? And we got it out of the Gap marketing fund. And he was going to deliver 160 SKUs or 120 SKUs. 100 SKUs are separate items of clothing, styles of clothing. So he ended up delivering about 60. I feel like we're on the people's court because we actually are, right? We're in the court of
Mhm.
public opinion. So he delivered about 60. There were all kinds of people that were working. Part of the reason why I had to get Dimna, like I didn't want to have to I wanted to compete with him. I didn't want to have to like get him. You know, when I made Stronger, I did it to compete with Timbaland and Justin Timberlake because my fiance at that time liked Justin Timberlake just a little bit too much. So I made it to compete. And then we had the song out. It's number one on Apple. It's blowing up. I play it in a club and it sounds muddy. It doesn't sound the way Sexy Back sounded in the club. So I go to Pharrell Williams to do the drums, and it doesn't. It sounds like a different record. And so it can't be a different record because I'm like, I'm gonna swap it out on radio, right? Then I go to Swiss Beats. It sounds like a different record. I go to Timberland, the person who did Sexy Back, and he did it in 5 minutes, and then spent the rest of the hour talking about how nobody could have done it except for him, running around the studio. I'm the best. No one could have. That's why he had to go to me. He had to go to the king.
Well, he had a point, right?
He had a point, right? So
What makes a song muddy? Is it the beat?
it
Is it
was
the
it
what?
was
What's
in the
it?
drums. It was something that Timberland had in those drums. Like now, watch this. I said I'm going DEFCON 3, right? And the actual, I spelled it wrong. I have a tendency to do that. I'm not quite John Legend, tight sweater level, spelling bee level. So I feel a parallel to me going to Timberland to when I said, hey, you as an engineer, I need to work with you as an engineer that is Jewish to look at these contracts and what my people, not just Black people, let's say artists, are dealing with in our contracts. These contracts need to be fixed. Everyone could be so mad at the messenger, right? Yay, you said it the wrong way. You're offensive. You're like Hitler now because you said it. You said this out loud, but it does not. You weren't getting enough sleep. All this shit does not negate the fact that we do have Houston. We have a problem.
Yeah, but it's just the music industry. Like, there's a lot of hate that was created by just saying that, you know?
But you're saying what is just is everything to me, right?
Yeah, yeah,
One
but
one one person
same
can
for
mean everything to me, right?
and for George Bush, winning an election was everything. And then when you said George Bush doesn't care about black people, that you woke him up. You woke the people up to the fact that he was narrowly being selfish. There's a sense to which you're being corrupted by your own greatness, that you're focusing too much on the industry that you've made great, that you've rose to the very top. One of the richest artists in history, one of the greatest designers,
I am the richest artist in history.
probably the richest artist in
Like,
history. Yeah,
like,
I don't, I,
they
you know,
say the funny thing is they're like, oh, richest black person, like, oh, also richest actor, richest musician, richest fashion designer. Like it's a bunch of riches in that one. You know what I'm saying? It's like richer than Ralph Lauren,
like,
like richer than Amani, like richest, like of that, but still low. Like, cause where do you put that? You know, like on the totem. Cause I don't even want to
a man's bank account isn't everything. I would say you and I are equal in a certain deep sense, no matter what the bank account says.
Voom, 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 voom. So I wanted to give you some theme music uh,
Thank you.
for your
It sounded a
moments.
little muddy.
Let me give you the Timberland version.
Yeah. Thank you.
But okay.
Play that at the club.
So the other thing about like say like Balenciaga is Demna will work with Ye someday, and for Cedric and for Francois Pinot, and Salma is a beautiful human being. 5 years from now, you'll hear and know the name Ye and know things that we did. And Balenciaga is not going to make it onto your questions. Would you, as a
I can
gambling
see
man,
it.
would you bet on that?
I would bet on that. I can see it in your eyes. Let me ask you a
So
silly.
it was sad. It was actually a sad day for me, not for me, but more for Balenciaga. I just when I heard that, I was just like, oh, shame.